And we are live. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Just Some Perspective podcast. I am your host, Mosh, and it's great to be back with you. Apologies for a slight hiatus on my side. Been just a bit busy as usual, as life gets, But it's not really a good excuse, so I'm going to do better to be more consistent on my side and to provide some quality guests and more quality conversations as well. And as you can see, I'm wearing this Dallas Maverick jersey, and not just any Dallas Maverick, but of course number 77, a certain player, franchise star player who was just involved in one of the most lopsided, spectacular trades to ever happen in the history of basketball and sports. But we'll get into that here. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. But congratulations. Quick shout out to the new Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. They won very convincingly on Sunday, beat the Kansas City Chiefs, ending a possibility of a three-peat, and with the final score of 40-22. And they dominated from the beginning. And just even though I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, I have to say they 100% earned my respect, and they deserve to win. And they've been a good team for years now. Huge respect to the quarterback Jalen Hurts, especially with so many doubters out there on him, and haters, of course, which is normal in the sports world. And I love their new addition and running back, Saquon Barkley, and that dude was phenomenal. And after many years in New York, he took his talents to Philadelphia, and they end up winning the Super Bowl this year. So kudos to them. I hope you guys in Philly don't destroy your city, which there's a lot of video on social media showing, actual destruction and such. But Philly people tend to get rowdy, and I believe it's one of the only, if not the only, sports stadium in the country that has an actual jail cell in the stadium. And that ought to tell you everything you need to know about the city of brotherly love, okay? So, but anyway, congrats to the Philadelphia Eagles on their Super Bowl victory. And a lot to learn from that. A lot to learn from this past season, the end of the NFL season, and of course NBA, especially in light of this trade, which made insane headlines, breaking the internet kind of news as soon as it broke, unfortunately, which we'll basically get into and tie these things together. So I'm sure people who follow sports or Dallas sports or NBA already know this, but 25-year-old Luka Doncic, basically one of the top 3 players in the NBA today, and a 5-time all first team NBA, and just off the heels of an NBA Finals appearance last summer, was for some reason involved in a massive trade to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, 31-year-old former champion and LeBron's former teammate, and Max Christie, and a first-round pick. And so, yeah, I can't describe the feeling at the time. It was just utter disbelief, shock. Might I say flabbergasted, which is a word I never use. But I can't even put into words this trade in terms of making sense, because it's like giving up your entire future, another player would be Michael Jordan or LeBron James at his actual peak in his mid-20s and such. You cannot possibly trade those people. You cannot trade those players and definitely you can't get fair value back, right? So anyway, now he's a Los Angeles Laker, and I'm happy for him. It has nothing to do with him, I would say, because I don't think you could actually perform better as a player. I believe that there's a lot of deeper things that the front office and the owners are not sharing with the public. But the excuse they're making, the reason they're saying, is that because of his work ethic and his conditioning being a factor, and the fact that he was basically owed a max contract this summer for a crazy total of $340 million for about a 5-year deal or so. And anyway, that's a whole can of worms. And that being said, that I highly doubt that's the reasons. Okay, you just don't trade or get rid of a generational talent like him, and who is a once in an actual generation talent, and you'll almost never find another guy like him. And the fact that Mavs had him just proves just how lucky and blessed they were, especially on the heels of the retirement of their previous great player, which is Dirk Nowitzki. This guy was actually potentially actually better player than the best player they've ever had in their entire history, going back to 1980, Dirk Nowitzki. So it's very reasonable to say he was the best player they ever had in their entire history, and they for some reason they still decided to get rid of him. I'm fairly convinced there's way more going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I'm fairly convinced the team has some other motive that they're not sharing. It may have something to do with like they just want to deliberately kind of destroy the fan base and potentially open the doors for relocating the team to another city like a Las Vegas sometime. And there's a new ownership of this team, majority ownership, that is people in the casino business. I forgot their name, but Dumont or something, but a family from Oklahoma that's in the casino business and looking to expand their operations and so forth. So anyway, that's just speculation at this point, and there isn't like actual evidence, or I should say there's not official reports, I should say, but there's a lot of reason to believe that is a possibility, because a move of this magnitude that's just earth-shattering and changes the history of your team and other, it's definitely the Lakers for the next decade or so, is just too hard to comprehend, especially when it happens. So, but anyway, Luka Doncic, you got my support. I'm gonna be rooting. I have a Lakers LeBron jersey, and I'll just put them together or something, because I'm gonna be rocking his jersey for the rest of his career, especially as long as he's in LA. And they did him very dirty, for sure. I think the Mavericks did him dirty, and they get what's coming to them. The GO front office GM Nico Harrison, yeah, he's going to get the backlash of this entire city, if not state, and potentially most of the NBA world as well. So I'm sorry, but when you make a move that impacts so many people on so many levels, and you're gonna face the consequences of this, and there's no escape, and that includes negative things happening to your own family, death threats, extremely mean and extremely just negative description and connotation on social media. So yeah, it's just when you're in that position, you kind of open the doors for that. So that's just part of your job description. So Nico, I wish you the best, but Mavs fans have given up on you, and we're ready to move on after you decided that this team was ready to move on without this once-in-a-lifetime player. So anyway, speaking of moving on, that's actually a good segue. One thing I have learned from this, and I can correlate it to any sporting event or, Super Bowl or championship or anything, is the ability to bounce back is extremely underrated, I would say. And I'd say it's extremely important today in this world. Okay? And if you analyze sports, especially winners of multiple championships, and including the greatest players of all time, which of course in basketball, right? We already know them. That would be Michael Jordan. That would be LeBron James. That would be Kobe Bryant. That would be Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Shaquille O'Neal, Will Chamberlain, and so on. Bill Russell. all these players have won multiple championships, at least 2 or 3 or more, and they, not just in basketball but in any sport, winners they share the similar qualities. That's what makes them winners. Yes, are they? Can everyone be 6'8" and 240 pounds? No, that is a physical anomaly. Yes, can everyone be, have a 7-foot wingspan or be 7 foot and 300 pounds and dominating on the court? No, that's a physical anomaly. Yes, and there are people who are genetically predisposed to having genes to even be physically anomalous, like these players. But that being said, if you're, it doesn't matter if you're size. If you're just lazy or no work ethic, not this guy, or you don't do what it takes to get to the next level or play at your potential, you won't be as big a winner as you can be. And so, bouncing back, winners bounce back from failure and from loss way faster than anyone else. Okay, and in sports that's certainly true, but even in day-to-day life, right? Everyone's going to experience some kind of a setback. Everyone's going to experience some kind of problem, right? Everyone's going to experience some issues here and there, and like I'm helping my folks with a certain project, and there's a lot of steps to this, to accomplishing this goal. And there's always a challenge. There's always a roadblock, but we're not at the goal yet. So we don't have a choice but to go around the roadblock. You know what I mean? And that's just life, I learned. Pardon me. So yeah, bouncing back is extremely important. And in life, the faster you can move on from things, the easier it becomes, right? Traffic, someone's going to cut you off, someone's going to tailgate you, and God forbid you might be involved in an accident. Knock on wood, God forbid. But these things happen, okay? And statistically, it happens to the vast majority of people. Now, does that mean, like, go cry at home all day and just stop going to work or stop going to school? No. Does it mean stop seeing your family? No. And at work, you're going to face, anxiety times. Your boss is gonna, have a one-on-one discussion with you, especially in the corporate world or really anywhere. Your boss, you will probably have a boss, and you will be required to meet certain expectations, and you will be discussing that with your boss, and that's obviously not a fun conversation, but it's gonna happen, and how you handle that is very important, right? So, yeah, for example, this trade, I was actually emotionally impacted by this trade. And pretty much anyone who follows basketball, and especially anyone who's a Mavericks fans, fellow Mavericks fans, I feel your pain. God bless you guys. We're going to get through this. It's really rough, I know. And it's not looking good even after the fact, even after a big game by the guy we got, AD, as well. So, yeah, I'm just gonna pray for the best and hope for the best and nothing more. But it doesn't matter. First of all, nothing is in my control. So whoever is traded, whoever is drafted, etc., by any team, especially my team, is completely out of my control. So there's nothing more I can do anyway. And then even when things like this happen, where unfortunately a major, massive, well-liked, much appreciated and respected player is involved in a trade that sends them away, does it hurt? Yes. Does it feel confused, and does it leave you feeling just hopeless or maybe like completely anxious and unknown? Yes. However, life goes on, and you still have to continue. You still have to move on. So I I'm doing better now that time has passed since it happened, which has been over a week now. And I meant to record earlier, but just had some issues beforehand. And so, yeah, things are going to happen. And this is, at the end of the day, is it just a sports thing? Yes. Is it just a silly game? It's just a game. Okay, sports is just a game. Okay, let's calm down. Let's not get too carried away. Yes, is it a player, one of the best players in the sport that was involved in the trade that sends him away from IT? Yeah. And does it suck for me? Yes. And other friends? Yes. However, is it the end of the world? Or does life stop? Or does work stop? Or does family time stop? No, absolutely not. So, bouncing back is very important, and no matter what happens, you have to continue. And when you're younger, I'll be honest, you're more emotionally involved when you're younger. That I have found. There's sometimes it's case by case basis, okay, but I believe on the whole, or I'm thinking on the whole, especially knowing how I was in my youth, and that I mean between 18 and 24, that age. I was way more emotionally into things. And now, yes, was I more emotional of a person? Yes. And at that age, you kind of experience more of like hormonal responses and such, that you just kind of can't control. Yes, that's true. That's the kind of human biology. But yeah, as you get older, everyone feels emotionally attached to something, and you're supposed to, but it just doesn't hold as much as you go through life, okay? And that includes some friends that maybe you were best friends, or you can't imagine a day that you're not talking or not good friends. Yeah, that there comes a day where that might happen, okay? I'm sorry to say that. But pets, unfortunately, God, I love pets. I have my dog. I've had many cats in the past. God bless them. I love them. Unfortunately, they are limited. They're in their lifespan, and that's just part of life, right? So they come and go. That happens. Your teams, and your favorite players, and your favorite coaches, etc. They also come and go, especially in sports. That's a business. That happens, and so, yeah, the emotional attachment you feel in your youth, in those early days before you become more of a matured adult, I'd say it doesn't carry over as much in your when you kind of hit your, let's call it second puberty, your late 20s and early 30s and up. Okay, let's call it second puberty. I'd say part of that is getting over things fast, bouncing back quickly. News in the sports world, news in the political world. Okay. Even, God forbid, personal news, personal family, that will still hurt. However, it just won't, I'd say, getting over it won't linger as much. There's a quote from the movie Life of Pi, phenomenal movie, which is all of life is about letting go. And in the movie, the main character Pi, and he has a tiger friend that they're stuck on a boat with, that you see. Yeah, he discovered that that's just a mantra of life. It is about letting go. No matter how much things seem like they'll last forever, eventually they won't. Pretty much everything. So, life is letting go, and also keeping it in the sports realm. If you're still so emotionally reactive to your team losing after watching them win and lose over many years, that's a personal issue, not the team's issue. Does that make sense? I mean, now, I personally believe that if you've seen enough evidence that it trumps whatever faith you have. Like, the team's either good or they're not. They're either capable of winning or they're not. Okay? And no amount of faith is going to change that, because this is sports we're talking about, and it's a business. But, yeah, when you learn that I just can't base my feelings on how a freaking sports team, professional sports team, or college sports team performs, your life just becomes much better. Okay, because as soon as the game's over, yay, we win. Okay, next thing. Yeah, oh, dang it, we lost. That sucks. Oh well, I have to do something now, right? And the more emotionally attached you are, just like the harder it is to let go. But your life continues. So the faster you bounce back, aka winner's mentality of bouncing back and moving on, that separates a winner from a loser. Okay, and mentally you have to push on and push forward. And yeah, I can make a million examples with this, right? Okay, so dating. Anyone who's an adult now, who's single, like myself, I think you can all relate about dating and how you become emotionally connected to someone, and how the longer it goes on, or the more connected you feel, the worse it hurts when it doesn't continue. Pretty sure everyone can relate to that one. So still happens. It's gonna happen to everyone probably for the most part, and it's definitely happened to me more times than I can count. But either way, it's past is past. You have to go through things. You win some, you lose some. Life continues. Okay, it doesn't matter. As long as your heart's beating, as long as your lungs are working, as long as you can walk and think and talk and everything, your life continues and you still have work to do. Okay? So, yeah, bouncing back, extremely important part of life and success, and all winners have the ability to bounce back no matter what the circumstances. And just because you lose a game, or you lose a few games, or you have a bad year, or you lose in the playoffs or the championship, it doesn't matter, because as long as you continue playing, you still you owe it to yourself as a player to go back at it, get back on the horse, and become better and perform better than you can, and understand that the game isn't over until you just stop playing, or God forbid you experience some career-ending injury, God forbid. But besides that, yeah, if you're a player in sports, you have to bounce back. You don't have a choice, because you can't just quit in a game. You made the decision to become a professional player, and now you owe it to yourself and your team and your fans to play, and that's what you get paid for, right? So that's very important. And in life, heartbreak, pain, trauma, depression, joy, ecstasy, etc., all things most human beings will experience. That being said, nothing lasts forever, and you simply carry on. And tomorrow's a new day, next week's a new week, next month's a new month, right? So bouncing back, very important in life. And so, yeah, again, props to my kudos to my fellow Mavericks fans, especially those who got kicked out of a Mavs game just for expressing themselves and speaking their mind about this bullshit trade that just happened. So I feel your pain. We're gonna bounce back. Okay, Dallas will bounce back. I still support the team. I love the team. I have loved for the past 20 years, and so yeah, I pray that this team can move on from this and be in a position to be a contender for the next 3 to 4 years, right? So, okay, what some other things I was gonna say? That's a good sports talk today. Now we're in full NBA season, and I'll be honest, the Lakers are the hot ticket, and the Lakers and the Mavericks are gonna play each other in LA in 2 weeks on February 25th, and best be assured, I'm gonna watch that game. I'm going to be watching as many games as I can, every game they play each other, and definitely as many Lakers games as I can, because we have two once-in-a-lifetime generational talents on the same team. One being, of course, LeBron James, arguably the greatest of all time. In my opinion, he is number one, greatest of all time, but that's another discussion. And now you got the next possible greatest of all time at the same team. So that's going to be about as entertaining basketball as it gets. And now one could theorize and say, yeah, was it all about ratings? Was it all about just a move to boost ratings and TV ratings and get people watching NBA more? Yes. It's very possible, right? But that's a bit more conspiracy theory talk than we go into normally. But it very much it very much goes along with this discussion that it's very much in the realm of possibility. I mean, that is for sure a entire play just to boost ratings for the entire sport, because like I said, this is a business, and when you're young you just love your team, go, and trust me, I know. And if you know me, I was like absolutely obsessed with this team from high school and college. And I was lucky to be an intern actually for a local radio station where I got to attend the 2011 NBA Finals championship parade after they actually won their very first championship. So that was a summer to remember, and I'm very grateful. I thank Lord above that happened, and I can always remember that. And so yeah, that was a literal dream come true for me at that time. And so, yeah, sports has a good place in my heart, but you start to mature when you don't let things that used to be very emotionally attached to just dictate how you feel, or dictate kind of the rest of your time, right? So if your team loses, if you're heartbroken because your team was really good and they lost in the last second buzzer beating shot, or whatever, a player goes down, in the finals, in the championship, you lost, whatever the reason, you still have to wake up tomorrow morning. You have things to do today and tomorrow. And if you don't have things to do, I'll be honest, that's a symptom of a bigger problem, and you probably should take a look at that and reevaluate your life entirely. But if you're finished college, or if you're in college, or working or whatever, you have things to do, and there's just no getting around that. So yeah, bouncing back, very, very crucial, and all winners have that. And in life, everyone has to bounce back, because things will happen beyond whether what's in your control or not in your control. But you cannot linger, because it's only going to prevent you from being productive and accomplishing things in the present anyway, if you do. So I wanted to get to, speaking of present, wanted to get to the next topic. I think this will be the last one for this episode. But that got me thinking that time is really all we truly have in this life. Okay? And there's a beautiful quote that I'm sure many people, whether you follow me or this content, are familiar with. And that is, we all have two lives. The second one begins when you realize that you only have one life. And I'm not exactly certain who is this quote attributed to, but I saw that Confucius is credited with this quote, but also this gentleman, Neville Ravikant, I think. He has been on many podcasts, and he is a phenomenal speaker. Highly recommend. Ravikant, last name. And he was on Joe Rogan podcast, and he mentioned that, and it really blew my mind, and I completely agree. So I'm going to say things that most people or all of us know. Maybe we just don't talk about it day to day. But from the moment we're born, we're all on the clock, okay? And that clock is going to eventually stop ticking one day, right? I know it hurts. It's hard to discuss. It's hard to hear, but it's still true. And time continues ticking, okay, no matter what. And everyone is born, and we're all human. We all have or had parents that brought us into this world, and hopefully helped us develop into functional, capable people, right? That's the whole idea. And the biggest difference between pretty much all humans is just what you choose to do with your time, right? We all know we all have 24 hours a day. All humans, without exception, okay? There's not a single person that has an extra hour without, of course, giving up sleep time, right? But you still have this exact same amount of time that the Earth rotates around its axis and goes around the sun. but certainly rotates on its axis is the exact same sec by second you have. And most of us obviously either going to school, going to work, traveling, taking care of family, eating, sleeping. That takes up most of your clock, right? So what we do with our time makes all the difference, right? And right now I'm trying to spend time and get this episode out here as part of my part-time goals. But the different wealthy people, a wealthy person and a poor person, okay? Elon Musk and a beggar on the street both have the same 24 hours a day, okay? Is it fair to compare those two? No. Is it fair to compare a wealthy man and a poor man? No. But are they both human beings, and do they both have the same 24 hours? Yes. Okay? And even if you are wealthy, what wealthy people, as wealthy as one can be, there's one thing that they will never stop trying to get more of, and that's time. Okay? It's time to do whatever you want when you want, which is really the definition of freedom. And yes, having enough finances and resources generating regularly for that will provide someone with that potential lifestyle, right? But the biggest difference between wealthy and poor or anyone else is having plenty of resources and finances, but not enough time, I would say. And we're on the other side, where you're on the, I don't want to say necessarily poor, but you get my point, right? Financially destitute or what have you. Having plenty of time and not nearly enough or any at all finances or money, right? That's the difference. But the cool thing is time doesn't change for you or me or for Elon Musk or for a homeless person at all, okay? Making most of your time, what you do in the short term now, today, will dictate your future, okay? There's one thing I learned as well from my entrepreneurial past as well is the books you read, the people you associate with and spend the most time with will basically determine your next 5 years, And I completely agree because the books I read and the content I've consumed, whether it's on YouTube podcast or Apple podcast or whatever, that helps me provide this information and provide this these conversation points to anyone listening right now. That's the only reason I can do that, Now, okay, I think we got the idea, the point about time, okay? Now, the thing, here's a kicker. Our perception of time completely changes as we get older. And most of us aren't ready for that conversation or have no clue that was going to be the case. But I promise you, a child or a early teen, preteen, time passes so differently to them compared to a fully grown adult in their 30s and 40s. Okay? And there's science behind this. I don't quote me on that. I would do your own research for that. But yeah, the time perception seems to go faster when you become a fully independent adult or you're working a full-time job, 40 plus hours a week, driving through traffic, an hour more a day, which I do a few days a week. And, there's time you can spend time watching Netflix or you can spend time improving new skills, You can spend time exercising or you can spend time eating unhealthy, right? It's just your habits, but it's what you decide to do with the time given, okay? That's what that makes a difference between who you are and who you can be. Very simple. Too simple, I know. And intrinsically we know that. People know that, but they still choose to waste all their time watching series without getting their important things done, like cleaning the home or doing a workout or something. And Another way to put it, you don't decide your future. This is a great quote. You don't decide your future, but you decide your habits, and your habits decides your future, right? So it's all comes down to time. What you do with your time right now, every day, and you can certainly block time off, right? You can certainly block it off. Now, if you work in corporate, like myself, in tech and whatever, when you start your workday, your whole workday is scheduled for the most part. There's time blocks for everything. There's time blocks for meetings with your associates or your supervisor or whomever. There's time for lunchtime. There's time for one-on-one conversations. There's time for actual work, work creation or whatever, completing your tasks, completing your assignments. So it's all blocked off anyway. And school operates same. There's an English class at this time at 7:30 a.m. or whatever, math class, so forth, right? So in school, your time is supposed to be scheduled and divided accordingly. In work, your time is scheduled and divided accordingly. Now, guess what? The rest of your time can also be doing that, scheduled and divided, if you have goals that you want to accomplish. Exercise is one of them. If you don't make time for exercise, you will never have time for exercise. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I work 50 hours a week. I have 2 kids. Yes, that's true. But you still have same 24 hours, my friend. Okay? I have a cousin who, God bless him, wakes up at like 4 a.m. or whatever, 4:30 a.m. every morning, which I'm not close to that level mindset yet. But wakes up every morning and does a lot of jogging, a lot of cardio, home workout, I think on a 5 to 6 day basis, if not every day. And he's in the best shape of his life in his mid-40s, I'm happy to say I'm in the best shape of my life in my mid-30s. And I just simply have been consistent and made time to work out. And even if I'm not going to the gym, I still do push-ups. I still do sit-ups, still do air squats, and I still walk a lot of steps outside, inside, whatever. So I still do that. So I decide those habits. I decide to spend my time doing that, and therefore, hopefully, inshallah, in enough time, consistency, and effort, you will see those results. Okay? So, yeah. I'm going to constantly recommend the importance of I'm going to emphasize the importance of physical health and also dieting and sleep and so forth. And that's all a commitment and a time-based commitment, okay? So if you're having a problem finding time for exercise, just do a nice little audit of your day. See where your hours are going. See where your time's going. If you're watching Netflix 2 to 3 hours a day, you are 100% wasting time that you could instead be spending towards exercising or maybe reading. Learning something new, benefit your job, benefit your career, going out and networking, making new connections. All things that you can do with your time. Should you have those goals and decide that's important enough for me to invest your time in, okay? So, I will say, most people will not understand the importance of this until, I would say, mid to late 20s, and if not, at least minimum in your 30s. You just can't understand it, especially if you live at home with family, and you're not necessarily responsible for paying bills or taking care of the home or grocery shopping, whatever. If you're not responsible for that, you can't understand the value of the time because you have more time to spare because you don't have as much time. You don't have to spend as much time doing all those other things, right? Unlike instead of if you were independent adult that had to take care of those things. So yeah, everything I already mentioned these things. I'm just gonna one more time repeat it, but everything is a time commitment. Work a certain amount of time. Sleep. You have to sleep, and there's no shying away from sleep, and don't deprioritize your sleep, okay? Not a good idea. If you deprioritize your sleep, your whole day will suffer. Your whole your whole output of your day will suffer. So don't sacrifice sleep. Exercise, eating, family time, friends, socialization, sporting events, movies, Netflix, learning new skills, pets, games, networking, podcasting. Everything is a time commitment. Okay, when you're an adult, time is all you have. What you choose to do with it will determine the outcomes that you get in your life, right? Can you afford to live somewhere? Can you afford to move somewhere? Can you afford to, spend money on fancy dinner dates, should you have the opportunity, right? Can you afford nice vacations? Can you know what I'm saying? All that is based on how you spend your time and how you're able to make a return on that investment over that time. That's it. Very basic, very simple. But that is a fact, I promise you. And if you're young, if I could talk to my younger self, I would say really take your time seriously and do now what you know you need to do, and especially if you want to think long term and think about who you want to become. Do as much now and don't spend as much time with doing unproductive things or spending time with unproductive people. Which we all did, but I certainly did. But that's what I would tell my younger self. So, and then as your circumstance changes, in a relationship, being in a committed relationship, having a spouse, a partner, having children, especially, I think children is the biggest X factor. But now your time becomes their time, which means your time is nearly gone because it's not about you. It's about your family. It's about others. And therefore, you have to spend your time towards helping your family because they're now your responsibility. Okay? So, that being said, it's still a mindset and a decision whether or not exercise is important to you, pursuing your other goals are important to you, improving your skill set, improving your job, learning about whatever, AI, anything you want to, starting a channel. That's still a decision, and mentally first, and then you can figure out where the time is and how to commit that time towards those goals. Okay? So, no matter what we do, good or you're having a good day, you're having a bad day, your favorite player got traded, your family, you're having problems, whatever it is, your best friend and you are fighting, whatever. Tomorrow's still coming, the clock's still ticking, doesn't matter. Just the question is, what have I done in this time? Can I live with that? Am I pleased with that? Yes or no? Because if the answer is no or maybe, I would definitely reevaluate where the time is being spent and try to invest that towards actual personal goals, or in other words, another Jordan Peterson reference, do what is meaningful and not what is expedient, from 12 Rules of Life. Look into how you can make things, how you can alter your time towards doing what is meaningful instead and pursuing things that are meaningful in life. So the sooner you accept that time is the most precious resource you have, it's not money, it's not dollars, okay? It's not necessarily your loved ones. They are very important, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not money, okay? It's not necessarily your intellect, your intelligence. It's definitely not your degree. That's a whole nother discussion, but your degree is, in the big scale of things, is very little meaning compared to everything else. But your time is your number one resource. Make the most of it. Don't let it go to waste, especially if you're young. Whatever you want to do, you have to dedicate time to it, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. There's absolutely no way around it, okay? Exercise, fitness, religion, okay, learning new skill sets, right? Improving your job skills, building relationships. Everything is a time commitment, okay, my friend? So please keep that in mind. It all comes down to your time. So with that, that's enough for today. Speaking of time, we have run out of that for this episode, but it's a pleasure talking with you guys, my fellow Mavs fans. I feel for you, Mavs fans for life, no matter what. I also wish Luka Doncic the best on the Lakers, and I'm going to be rooting for him no matter what. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you got a lot of value from this episode, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe for more. Hoping to have some more awesome, fun guests for you guys on future episodes. But with that, we are done. And as always, like we like to say, just keep in mind, just a little perspective. Peace.